I am the reason why you should never venture near the old lighthouse on the rocky shores of Maine. My name is Ezra, and I have been the lighthouse keeper for longer than anyone can remember. The townsfolk whisper about me, claiming that I haven't aged a day since I first arrived, but they don't know the dark secret I harbor within these weathered walls. It all began centuries ago when I was just a young man, eager to escape the monotony of my life. I accepted the position as the lighthouse keeper, thinking it would be a peaceful existence, guiding ships to safety with the beacon's light. Little did I know that the lighthouse held an ancient, sinister power. On my first night, as I climbed the spiraling stairs to the lantern room, I felt an eerie presence watching me. The shadows seemed to flicker and dance, even though the flame in the lantern remained steady. As I stepped closer to the glass, I saw a reflection that wasn't my own, a gaunt, ghostly figure with hollow eyes and a wicked smile. The figure spoke to me, its voice like the whisper of the wind through the cracks in the walls. It promised me eternal life and power beyond my wildest dreams, but there was a price to pay. To maintain my immortality, I would need to feed on the innocent souls of children. At first, I was horrified by the thought, but as the years passed, and I remained unchanged while the world around me aged, the temptation grew stronger. The figure taught me how to lure the children, using the lighthouse's beam to hypnotize them, drawing them closer to the rocky shore. On foggy nights, when the town was shrouded in a thick, impenetrable mist, I would leave the safety of the lighthouse and venture down to the water's edge. There, I would wait, my eyes glowing an unnatural blue, my voice calling out to the lost and curious children. They would come to me, as if in a trance, their small feet stumbling over the slippery rocks. I would scoop them up in my arms, my touch draining the life force from their delicate bodies. As their essence flowed into me, I felt the power surging through my veins, renewing my youth and vitality. The disappearances went largely unnoticed at first, as the town was small and the families were accustomed to the dangers of living by the sea. But as the years turned into decades, and the number of missing children grew, whispers began to circulate about a curse upon the lighthouse. Some claimed to have seen ghostly figures wandering the shoreline at night, their mournful wails carried on the wind. Others spoke of strange lights flickering in the lighthouse tower, even when no keeper was supposed to be on duty. But no one dared to investigate, fear keeping them confined to the safety of their homes. And so, I continued my grim work, the lighthouse my silent accomplice. The figure in the reflection grew stronger with each soul I harvested, its whispers becoming more insistent, urging me to expand my hunting grounds. I began to venture further inland, my powers growing with each passing year. I could move unseen through the shadows, my presence barely more than a cold breath on the back of a child's neck. I stalked the playgrounds and schoolyards, always watching, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The town's children learned to fear the dark, their parents warning them of the boogeyman who lurked in the night. They didn't know that the true monster was the one tasked with keeping them safe, the guardian of the light that was supposed to guide them home. Now, after centuries of feeding on the innocent, I am no longer the man I once was. My skin is pale and cold to the touch, my eyes an icy blue that seems to pierce the very soul. The figure in the reflection has become my constant companion, its whispers my only solace in this eternal existence. So, if you ever find yourself near the old lighthouse on the rocky shores of Maine, heed my warning. Don't be drawn in by the mesmerizing beam. Don't let your curiosity lead you to the water's edge. For if you do, you may become the next child to disappear, your soul forever trapped within these ancient walls, fueling the dark power that keeps me alive. Remember, I am the lighthouse keeper, and I am the reason why the children of this town are never safe, why their parents keep them locked away when the fog rolls in, and why the sound of the waves crashing against the rocks is always tinged with the echoes of their screams. Stay away from the lighthouse, for your own sake, and for the sake of the children who have already been lost to its insatiable hunger. As the decades turned into centuries, the town around the lighthouse began to change. The small fishing village grew into a bustling coastal city, with towering skyscrapers and sprawling suburbs. But despite the passage of time, the old lighthouse remained, a silent sentinel on the rocky shore, its secrets hidden from the modern world. I watched as the town evolved, my immortal eyes witnessing the rise and fall of generations. I saw wars come and go, empires crumble, and new ones rise from the ashes. Through it all, I remained, a constant presence in an ever-changing world, my dark purpose unchanged. With the growth of the city came new opportunities for me to feed. The streets were filled with children, their laughter and innocence a siren's call to my twisted soul. I adapted my methods, learning to blend in with the shadows of the urban landscape, my powers growing stronger with each passing year. I became a legend in the city, a cautionary tale whispered by parents to their misbehaving children. They spoke of the lighthouse keeper, a ghostly figure who would steal away naughty children in the night, never to be seen again. Little did they know that the legend was all too real, and that their own children were in danger every time they stepped out into the darkness. As the modern age dawned, with its electric lights and advanced technology, I found new ways to lure my prey. I learned to manipulate the city's power grid, causing blackouts in targeted neighborhoods, plunging them into darkness. In the confusion and chaos, I would strike, my powers allowing me to move unseen through the shadows, plucking children from their beds and disappearing into the night. The police were baffled by the disappearances, unable to find any evidence or suspects. They attributed the missing children to runaways or abductions by human predators, never suspecting that the true threat lay in the supernatural realm. But as the number of missing children continued to rise, whispers began to circulate once more about the old lighthouse and its dark history. Some claimed to have seen ghostly figures wandering the shore at night, their faces twisted in eternal agony. Others spoke of strange lights emanating from the lighthouse tower, pulsing in an unnatural rhythm that seemed to call out to the lost and damned. A few brave souls even dared to venture near the lighthouse, determined to uncover its secrets. They never returned. Their fates sealed the moment they stepped foot on the rocky shore. I watched from the shadows as they approached, my anticipation growing with each step they took. They were no match for my powers, their souls quickly consumed, their bodies left to rot in the cold, dark depths of the sea. As the years passed, I began to feel a strange emptiness growing within me, a void that no amount of stolen souls could fill. The figure in the reflection, once my constant companion, began to fade, its whispers growing fainter with each passing day. I realized that my immortality came at a cost, that the very thing that sustained me was also slowly eroding my humanity, leaving me a hollow shell of the man I once was. I began to question my purpose, to wonder if there was more to existence than the endless cycle of feeding and survival. In my rare moments of lucidity, I would climb to the top of the lighthouse tower and stare out at the vast expanse of the ocean, searching for answers in the endless blue. It was during one of these moments of introspection that I first saw her, a young girl standing at the edge of the water, her eyes fixed on the lighthouse tower. She was different from the other children, her gaze filled not with fear, but with a strange sort of understanding. Night after night, she would return, standing at the water's edge, her eyes never leaving the tower. I watched her from the shadows, my curiosity piqued by her strange behavior. One night, as the moon hung low in the sky, I finally approached her, my powers ready to consume her soul. But as I drew near, she turned to face me, her eyes locking with mine. In that moment, I saw something in her gaze that I had never seen before recognition. She knew who I was, what I was, and yet she did not flee. "I've been waiting for you," she said, her voice barely a whisper above the crashing of the waves. "I know what you are, and I know the burden you carry." I was stunned, my powers faltering in the face of her words. No one had ever spoken to me like this, with such understanding and compassion. I felt a stirring in my long dead heart, a flicker of something I thought I had lost forever. "Who are you?" I asked, my voice hoarse from centuries of disuse. "My name is Lila," she replied, a small smile playing at the corners of her mouth. "And I am here to help you over the next few weeks." Lila and I met in secret, our conversations ranging from the mundane to the profound. She told me of her own life, of the struggles and joys of growing up in the modern world. In turn, I shared with her the story of my curse, the centuries of darkness and despair that had consumed me. Through our talks, I began to see a glimmer of hope, a chance for redemption. Lila helped me to understand that my immortality was not a gift, but a burden, and that the only way to break free from its grasp was to confront the darkness within me. Together, we formed a plan. Lila would help me to lure the figure from the reflection, to trap it within the confines of the lighthouse. Once it was contained, I would use my powers to destroy it, freeing myself from its influence forever. The night of the confrontation arrived, and I felt a sense of trepidation as I climbed the steps of the lighthouse tower. Lila was by my side, her presence a comforting anchor in the darkness. As we reached the top, I saw the figure waiting for us, its hollow eyes filled with malice. "So, you think you can betray me?" it hissed, its voice like the scraping of metal on bone. "You are nothing without me, Ezra." "I made you what you are." "No," I replied, my voice steady with newfound resolve. "You may have given me this curse, but it is time for me to break free from its grasp." With Lila's help, I summoned all of my power, focusing it on the figure before me. The lighthouse began to shake, the glass in the lantern room shattering as the figure let out an unearthly scream. I pushed harder, pouring every ounce of my strength into the battle, feeling the darkness within me begin to recede. In a final burst of energy, the figure exploded in a blinding flash of light, its essence scattering to the winds. I collapsed to the ground, my body weak and drained, but my soul finally free. Lila helped me to my feet, her eyes shining with tears of joy. "You did it," she whispered, her voice filled with pride. "You're free." As we walked out of the lighthouse together, I felt a sense of peace wash over me, a feeling I had not known in centuries. The curse was broken, and I was finally able to see the world through new eyes, no longer burdened by the weight of my past. Together, Lila and I left the town, ready to embark on a new journey, one filled with hope and the promise of a brighter future. The lighthouse stood behind us, a silent reminder of the darkness I had overcome, and the light that had guided me home.